Hello everyone, and welcome to the Max and Drew Show, episode 2, may I add. And I'm here with Max Holtzclaw. Max, nice to see you again, now episode 2.
As always, it's our pleasure. Got a little bit of a handshake going on.
There we go.
I don't know what this is.
And I'm Drew White, the Drew portion of the Max and Drew Show. Today we're going to talk a little about NBA, the first, I guess first week and a half pretty much, since November 3rd. We're going to bring you the info you might need. We'll also bring in 2 guests to talk about NFL action. So Max, take us away with the NBA.
So this is wrapping up the week of November 3rd through November 9th right now. So we're going to start off on Sunday, November 3rd. The first game of that night that we have is the Detroit Pistons beat the Boston Celtics 87-77. The big scores off the bench actually for the Boston Celtics were Kelly Olynyk with 15 points and Jordan Crawford with 13. Avery Bradley started and got 15. And Detroit had Greg Monroe, Josh Smith, and Andre Drummond, kind of their big three.
Yeah.
They had 15 points all combined with them. And then Brandon Jennings came in off the bench. I believe this was his debut for 14 points.
I see. Very nice game for him.
And then after that, the next game we have are the Washington Wizards and the Miami Heat. The Heat did beat the Wizards 103-93, with the big scorers being LeBron 25, Bosh at 24, and Wade at 20.
I want to say something really quickly about that game. I did catch some of it when it was on, mainly because of the NBA League Pass.
Right, it was free.
During the free trial of it. The Miami was a little bit shaky up until third quarter. It was a close game, and as you see, it was only a 10-point game. But Washington did a good job of sticking with them, so I'll give credit where credit was due.
They have not been playing up to their potential that they should be playing at this season right now. And then Washington had a good night from Bradley Beal at 19. Marcin Gortat had a double-double with a 15 and 11. And then John Wall shot 4 for 12 that night. So that was their downside. Had 11 points still with 9 assists. So he kind of made up with the assists, but still, you need a better performance shooting-wise.
Every once in a while he'll have that, and they were like, oh man, I want to be like Josh Smith. I want to take a bunch of jump shots, even though I'm amazing at driving the ball. And I believe that was one of those games right there.
Absolutely. The next game we have the Orlando Magic really dominating the Brooklyn Nets that night, 107-86. Really kind of showing that, hey, we are a force to be reckoned with. Don't get caught up in the Brooklyn hype. Vucevic had a great night with a 19 points and 12 rebound performance. Off the bench, we had Indiana's own Victor Oladipo with 19, and Andrew Nicholson off the bench at 17. Brook Lopez was the Brooklyn Nets leading scorer with 21, and Pierce also added 16 that night. The next game we have the Oklahoma City Thunder 103 to the Phoenix Suns 96. Bledsoe was a great performance that night with 26 points and 14 assists, but did have 8 turnovers in that performance. And Gerald Green added 21 off the bench. Durant was Durant, as always, with 33 points and 10 rebounds. And Westbrook made his debut. Had 21 points, 7 assists off of 5 for 16 field goals.
And this was the game where pretty much, like you said, he returned from that injury that he wasn't going to be supposed to be back for another couple weeks from reports. But he actually returned a lot sooner. He pulled the exact opposite of Derrick Rose, who sat out the whole year. He sat out only a couple games. Also, to note, Goran Dragic, the point guard / shooting guard for the Phoenix Suns, got an ankle injury during this game. He has yet to play this week, as later on you won't see any stats from him. But he did practice today in half court, and they have been talking that he might play tomorrow. I don't know who they play, but he might play on Sunday.
So that's a good sign for Phoenix.
Yes.
And they're actually having a great season still, too.
Yes.
The next game we had Minnesota beat the New York Knicks 109-100. Minnesota's been playing fantastic basketball this season. Kevin Love is having really a career year. He could be up for MVP considerations. He had this game 34 points and 15 rebounds, which is really amazing. And Kevin Martin also added 30 points too. Nikola Pekovic added 11 and 12 as well. And then New York had Melo with a 22 and 17 rebound performance. And Metta World Peace off the bench added 17.
Yeah, woo!
And then that final game for the day, we had the Lakers beat the Atlanta Hawks 105-103. A little bit closer than what you might expect with these two teams usually. Xavier Henry led the way with 18 points, and Gasol had a 16-13 performance. Kyle Korver led the way for the Atlanta Hawks with 22, and Al Horford had 12 and 16 that night. So moving on from there, we're going to go on to Monday, which was November 4th. That day, we had Memphis Grizzlies win 95-88 over the Boston Celtics. At this point, Boston was still winless, and Zebo had a 15-7 that day, and really just led the way for them. And Boston had Jeff Green with 22 points, and Jared Sullinger added 16 for them. So really, they're not too bad. The Celtics.
Yeah. The issue is Boston. They just need to find their identity. This is their first season without a main scorer because they've had Paul Pierce for the past so many years. Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen was also part of that year for the past 5 or 6 years. They just need to find their identity. They need to know who's going to be that guy they should rely to on scoring. I believe it's Jeff Green.
Oh yeah.
As he showed last year during the playoffs and late in the season, that he could be used as a reliable scoring option. I'm hoping he realizes this because I'm a big supporter of Jeff Green.
We know that.
Yeah.
Moving on from that game, we had the Cleveland Cavaliers sneak by the Minnesota Timberwolves with a 93-92 win. C.J. Miles came in off the bench and had 19 points, and Kyrie Irving did not have a very good night at all, actually. He had 15 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists, but he had 9 turnovers, which led to the effect of Minnesota getting those 92 points. Kevin Martin had 23 points, and Kevin Love had 17 points and 13 rebounds. A little bit of a Kevin dynamic duo there in Minnesota leading the way this year.
No, Kevin is actually unlike when he was in OKC when he was a 6-man role, here he is the second scoring option pretty much. And I think this is actually a very good combo, Kevin Love and Kevin Martin, the Kevin twins, as I'm going to call them from here on out.
Kevin squared.
Kevin squared, as some would say. Because, Kevin Love, he has an outside game and he can play inside. Kevin Martin likes to chill out around the three-point line, shoot three-pointers. If Kevin Love gets in, he can just pass it right back out to Kevin Martin. I think it's a very good combo. And I think this is going to be very good. He didn't really have that option in Oklahoma City, mainly because...
Or even in Houston, for that matter.
Or even Houston. In Houston, he was the main scorer. He was the main option.
He was relied on a little bit too much.
Yeah, he had to shoot the ball the most, and, he never had a really good field goal percentage. But this year, he's shooting very well. He's close to that 50 mark, which is very good, man.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime you shoot about 50 and you're not a big man, you're shooting really well that year. Unless you're like Rondo and shoot inside the entire time. But he's just chucking up three-pointers, and they're going in. So, good for him. I think it's a very good combo that they got there in Minnesota.
Also helps with the Rubio dishing passes everywhere.
Yes, Rubio is a dishing machine. He is the Dyma.
After that game, we had the Golden State Warriors really just dominate the Philadelphia 76ers. 110-90, and I'd really show that Philadelphia isn't all that it's been talked up to be so far, even though they still have a very good record.
Yeah.
But Iguodala led the way with 32 points, and Curry messed around, got a triple-double with an 18-point, 12 assists, and 10-rebound performance. Philadelphia had Evan Turner lead the way with 18, and Michael Carter-Williams had an 18 performance off a 4 for 17 field goal percentage.
Yeah. This would be that game where if we had Chet with us today, he'd be like, "Oh, Iggy, 32 points. He was a ball hog." He'd have one of those type of days because we all know Iggy is that type of guy. He likes to shoot the ball. Even though he's never had a very high scoring like points per game type of thing. I mean, especially during his later years in the 76ers. And with Denver, he wasn't relied on the score as much. So this is going to be interesting because I wonder what Golden State plans on using him with. If he's going to be a big scoring option there, because he can score, but he's a much better defender than he is a scoring type of guy.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very interesting thing, especially on a scoring team like the
especially
Warriors.
When you have Curry and Thompson,
Clay, Trey, Barnes,
even David Lee you could throw in there.
David Lee. Yep.
After that, we had our final game that day where the LA Clippers and the Houston Rockets, a bit of a shootout that the Clippers really just ran away with. They had 137 points. How many points?
78.
78 in the first half.
I know you're about to ask, so I was going to bring it up. But yeah, Zach reminded us about that. And this is going to be that game where Houston is, like I said, Dwight Howard might be there. He might be one of the best defenders in the league. He's won multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. But you remember, it's a chemistry type of thing where they need to work together, get their chemistry up. Maybe they don't know how to rotate on defense yet, especially when you have guys like Jeremy Lin, Patrick Beverly, not very known for their defense. They're going to have to work on that while they're there. But the inside presence shouldn't be a big issue for them.
But still, even then, Houston scored 118 points.
Yeah.
And that would have beaten any other team that night.
Yeah, well, Clippers caught fire, 118 points is way above average. Most teams score about that 97, 98 average. I'm just guessing on last year. Last year, 15th place team with scored about 97 a game. So 118 is way above that. So you might have fire on one night, but the other team might be even better that one night. NBA is one of those games of unpredictability and who could catch fire on a certain night.
And then leading the way, actually, for the Houston Rockets that night was Omri Caspi off the bench with 19 points, 9 rebounds. And leading the way for the Clippers was J.J. Redick with 26 points.
Where did you get 100 at?
I was looking above at the team score. With 26 points. And CP3 added 23 points and 17 assists. So really a solid performance all around. Let's move on from there to Tuesday, where the Indiana Pacers kept their winning record going, their undefeated record, beating the Detroit Pistons 99-91. Paul George led the way with 31 points, 10 rebounds. Also, we're going to throw in there, Roy Hibbert had 8 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 blocks, really just dominating with his blocking performance this year. Brandon Jennings shot 6 for 20 and scored 17 points, and Jay Smoove shot 5 for 16 and scored 16 points. So Pacers really showing their defense that day.
Yeah.
Stopping two of their best scorers.
Yeah, but this is one of those games where the first time they mentioned that this year that they play much better in the second half than they have in the first half. Second quarter, Pacers only scored 9 points. I blame it on their poor second team because Pacers' problems for the past 2 years have been their bench and not getting much production off it. And this was that game where we didn't get much production off the bench, and we called for our starters. And the big question was, should Paul George play as much as he did, mainly because they were playing a doubleheader. They had a very good game. They got lucky. They caught fire going into the third quarter. Not really blew Detroit, but they set the tone for the rest of the game and made it pretty much impossible for the Pistons to catch back up.
After that, the Houston Rockets beat the Portland Trailblazers 116-101. Harden led the way with 33. And Lillard and Aldridge was a dynamic duo for Portland, scoring 22 and 21. After that, Miami beat the Toronto Raptors 104-95. LeBron James had 35. Bosh did not play that night, but D-Wade did score 20. DeRozan scored 21, and Valanciunas scored 18 points and 9 rebounds. Also, Rudy Gay got a double-double with 13 and 10. The Brooklyn Nets beat the Utah Jazz 104-88, leaving Utah still winless on the season. Lopez had 27 points for Brooklyn. Gordon Hayward had 22, and Enes Kanter had 21 for Utah. So really, just you got to have a little bit better performance all around with Utah.
Yeah, well, again, Utah was in the same boat as Boston. They lost their 2 best scorers with Millsap and Jefferson not re-signing with them, leaving for other teams, and they're relying on Kanter and Derek Favors coming in off the bench, they both have been playing off the bench for the past 2 and 3 years respectively. And they're going to be relying on the scoring more. Kanter has stepped up. He's been averaging close to that 20-point mark a game this year. Him and Gordon Hayward have been as well. So, it's like they need to find out who their scorers are going to be and just base their team on that.
All right, moving on from there, the New York Knicks lost to the Charlotte Bobcats.
Ooh.
That's right. The Bobcats won a game over a marquee team, 102-97. Kemba Walker led the way with 25 points, and Melo led the way for New York with 32. So Melo's been putting on a shooting performance, but just can't get the help that he needs.
And then this is the game that I would like to mention that Chandler got injured his knee, and he's now out for a few weeks. But also when I saw the score of this game, this is maybe have that instant flashback to last year when Melo wasn't playing and J.R. Smith hit that game-winning 2-pointer to beat the Bobcats. So maybe this is a little bit of revenge type of thing, but it's the Bobcats. You really can't say much. I think they just probably had a very good night, or they just got lucky. Tyson Chandler got injured, but Melo would go on to say later in the week that the team is not 100% there. Like they're giving the effort, but a lot of them don't care. So we're gonna see. We should see how that plays out later this year because people may be upset. People may get fired. Mike Woodson in particular, their head coach, because they're not. They've been to the playoffs, but they haven't done much once they get there. They got to the second round, but they easily got beat by the Pacers. Even though they won 2 games, Pacers dominated most of that series. So this is going to be a big season for them because if they lose Melo, Woodson's going to be out there. He's going to be out, and I bet this could be a situation which Dwight Howard, where they've tried to fire the coach and try to bring someone in to try to please him, and that may be one of the situations they get put into.
Definitely could seem like that. And after that, Phoenix Suns beat the Pelicans 104-98, really showing their dominant season this year. Without Dragic, they still won. Bledsoe led the way with 25. Anthony Davis had a 17-point, 11-rebound performance for the Pelicans. The Lakers that night lost to the Dallas Mavericks, 104-123. Off the bench, they had Nick Young scored 21, and Monte Ellis led the way for the Dallas Mavericks with 30 points and 9 assists. Later on that night, we had San Antonio Spurs beat the Denver Nuggets 102-94. San Antonio showing once again their top-tier team. Parker led the way at 24 points, and Tim Duncan almost got a triple-double, but didn't even manage to get the double-double with a 17-point, 8-rebound, 8-assist performance. Ty Lawson played very well with 20 points and 8 assists. And Kenneth Faried also had one of the stronger performances with 15 points and 8 rebounds.
Yeah. I'm going to steal a quote from Mr. Birch here, who is a math teacher at our school. Duncan was close, but no cigar.
Right. And then finally, that last game, the Atlanta Hawks beat the Sacramento Kings 105-100. Al Horford had 27 points and 10 rebounds. Paul Millsap had 25 points and 11 rebounds. And Jeff Teague had 18 points and, I believe, 10 assists. I think I wrote that wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. You could be right, you could be wrong. It's Atlanta. Oh, they won. Oh, who'd have thought?
Well, it is the Sacramento Kings, and they are one of the bottom feeders there.
Well, except the issues that Sacramento has is they don't have a set starting lineup, and they had this issue last year as well. So, and they just have a lot of issues there. Hopefully, Shaq could maybe do something, but he's just
part-time owner.
Yeah, so it's probably not. He's probably not going to do much.
The leading scorers for Sacramento was 26 points off the bench was Isaiah Thomas, then a little bit of a rookie watch here. Ben McLemore had 15 off the bench.
So pretty much it was his first big game in the NBA because I believe he said on the previous episode that he hasn't been doing too well since he's been in the NBA. This could be his coming out party, and it might be 15 points, but a good game is a good game.
Absolutely.
So moving on to Wednesday, it's the 6th now. This is the day where there's always every team seems to play because they always have games on ESPN and NBA TV and all that good jazz. So the first game we have is the Pacers continuing their win streak against the Chicago Bulls. Pacers win 97-80. George, your man Paul George, PG, scores 21 points on 6 of 19 shooting. Not really his fault. He's playing one of the better defenses in the NBA. And then David West also had a double-double performance with 17 points, 13 rebounds. Derrick Rose still continuing to struggle this year, only having 17 points on 6 of 15 shooting. And Lil Deng shot 6 of 18 for 17 points. So anything in particular you want to say about this game?
Just the Pacers really dominated the Bulls in the fourth quarter. They really shut them down and showed their strong defense in this one.
I believe someone mentioned that they ended the game on a 30-11 run. So. That was led by 3 people. The 12-0 run by Sloan, Lance Stevenson, and Scola shooting the ball. So that's when you know that our bench came into play because you have, especially with Sloan, because he was called up to play that second point guard role as soon as our boy
George Hill
was out. So he's been doing very well this year. Another rookie that people need to look out for because he's doing more than what he was expected to do, pretty much. Which is very good to see from a rookie.
He's not a rookie. Or Solomon? Or
no, I'm talking about
Sloan?
Sloan.
He's not a rookie.
Sloan's not?
No, he's not a rookie.
This
is his second year.
Who cares? So next we're gonna have the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm sorry about that, by the way. I always make mistakes like that. The Pelicans, 99-84 over your Memphis Grizzlies. Only thing worth noting on the Grizzlies is that Conley had a 26-point game. Eric Gordon had 19 points, and Anthony Davis had 18 points.
One thing about this game, though, I did see was that Zach Randolph left in the middle of the second quarter to go be with his wife, who was in labor.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Did she end up having a baby?
Yeah, she did have a baby.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations. I don't know if it's a boy or girl, but she did have the baby.
All right, well, good for him. So moving on from that, Charlotte Bobcats, who would have thought they'd won 2 in a row, but they ended up winning 2 in a row, beating Toronto. Gerald Henderson with 23 points for them. The big Michael Jordan number. Maybe that's just a good luck thing for them to score as much as Michael Jordan's number. Rudy Gay had 20 points. And Valanciunas.
It's close enough, yeah.
Okay, 12 points, 10 rebounds. Nothing to say about that. Orlando beats the Clippers. Another good game by the
Vucevic here had a career night.
30 points, 21 rebounds. A lot like a Kevin Love type of night, as some might say. Kevin Love's able to have a 3-point shot, though. I'm just saying, those are numbers you
He does have a deep 2 shot.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I know, but
he can't step out behind.
When you see numbers like that, you just automatically think of Kevin Love because he's been putting up.
Kevin Love is a double machine.
Yes, and then for the Clippers, you have Blake Griffin, 23 points. Chris Paul, I almost said Paul George. Chris Paul with 18 points, and then DeAndre Jordan, someone who doesn't get much love or much talk about, 9 points, but he did pull down 19 boards. So the main question is Lob City dead?
It's not necessarily dead. It's just kind of laxed. You know, they're not using it as much as they should.
They're using it when they need to.
It's sparingly.
Yeah, it's when obviously you need to use an MIUP,
right.
They use it. They're not like a team like San Antonio who never pulls out a noob.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't expect Tim Duncan would probably hurt himself.
Yeah, he probably breaks something going on.
Okay, moving on. Boston and Utah, two teams who
two bottom feeders.
Two bottom feeders. I believe neither of them have won a game coming into this, did they?
Right.
And then Boston ended up winning 97-87. Brandon Bass with 20 points, and Jeff Green had 18. Gordon Hayward with a 28-point game. Cantor had 22. Derek Favor had a 10-point, 14-rebound game.
And when you get a good game from someone like Gordon Hayward, you know you're going to get the win.
Yeah.
Or, actually, they didn't get the win, excuse me. That was just bad, but they had a good game, but they didn't get the win.
When you have a good game by Gordon Hayward, the rest of your team need to show up. Gordon Hayward is a guy that we're going to probably mention a lot because he has been playing consistent this year, and he's been proving
he's their best player.
He's their best player by far, offensively and defensively. Moving on, Milwaukee pulls out a 5-point win against Cleveland, 109-104. OJ Mayo had 28 points. Gary Neal had 23. Kyrie Irving had a 29-point game, and Dion Waiters had a 21-point game. Let me flip this page here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Golden State, another win, beating the Minnesota T-Wolves, a team that I'm very high on this year.
Continuing their winning ways there.
Yes. Klay Thompson had a 30-point game. David Lee had a 22-point game. Kevin Love with 25 points, and Kevin Martin, again, having a good
Kevin
game.
Squared, man.
The Kevin Squared. K-Squared is probably going to be who we mention the most on this show. Mainly because, like I said, they do play very well, and I'm very surprised because, especially with the year Kevin Martin had last year, he just had an okay year, not very consistent off the bench. So maybe this proves that he can still bring value to a team. He hasn't been named to an All-Star this year, but I'm not going to say it yet, but if he keeps on playing like he is, he could be a surprise contender for maybe getting an All-Star appearance.
Maybe a most improved player.
A most improved player especially. Moving on, Phoenix loses finally to San Antonio. However, it was only a 3-point game, 99-96. Parker had 20, and Green had 19. And then
that's Markieff Morris.
Markieff Morris. There you go. I was thinking that was their last name. I'm like, crap.
I know.
Markieff, if you don't know, they have twin brothers.
The twin brothers, the Morris brothers, both came over from Kansas, are now both playing for Phoenix. And
also, what to mention, this is also a game where Phoenix did not have Dragic. One of their leaders, he broke out in Houston. He was playing well in the preseason. He's scoring very well. So hopefully he comes back soon. Next, we had OKC demolishing Dallas, 107-93. Not really demolishing, but OKC had complete control of this game.
It does help when Monte Ellis gives up 7 turnovers.
Yes, I would, and that's what I'm going to mention. 20.7 turnovers. Kind of like that game we were talking about with Kyrie Irving, who had 9 turnovers. Durant had 23 points, 10 assists. Westbrook had 22 points, and Ibaka 17 points, 13 rebounds. On Thursday, only 3 games. Thursday and Tuesday tend to be those days where not as many games.
And that's the highlight matches of the big matches between Miami and Clippers. How you're gonna say this first one is? Yeah.
So this one's LA Clippers at Miami. These are the games that usually show on TNT, by the way. That's just something I'm gonna throw out there. Miami wins 102-97. Wade had a 29-point game. LeBron James only had an 18-point game. Kind of one of those games where it's glad that you have 2 of the best players in the NBA because if one of them has a bad night, the other one can pick up the slack.
Right.
And then for the Clippers, everyone had a pretty good game. Another DeAndre Jordan. You didn't think we were going to mention his name twice, but we are. 11 points, 14 rebounds. Chris Paul, 11 points, 12 assists. Blake Griffin, 27 points, 14 rebounds.
And with 3 double-doubles, you'd expect them to get the victory. But when you have some of the best players on the NBA playing on one team, it's just difficult to beat.
Yeah, like I said, you could have the best balanced team ever, but you're gonna have You have a lot of issues when you go up against LeBron James or like a Michael Jordan or the best player in the NBA.
Right.
These aren't like the 80s when you have Larry Bird and Magic Johnson running the show. Because those two are the best two players, and you can't really consider one above the other for the most part. Moving on from that, a close game, Denver beats Atlanta 109-107. Atlanta's been keeping these games pretty competitive.
Atlanta's been playing very well lately. Yeah. Especially Paul Millsap has been playing really very good.
Yes.
Very well.
Let's see, Ty Lawson flirted with a triple-double. He was close but no cigar. 23 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. Millsap had 29 points, 10 rebounds, like you said. Jeff Teague, double-double, 14 points, 11 rebounds.
And Jeff Teague is an Indiana native, came out of Pike High School. Yeah. Has been playing very well this year for Atlanta.
Yes, he is. Moving on from that, an even closer game. This game was decided by a buzzer beater by not Kevin Love. No, not Kobe Bryant. It was by Steve Blake.
Who?
Steve Blake. Steve Blake.
Not even Steve Nash there. Steve Blake.
LA wins 99-98. The Lakers, man. Still not playing without Kobe Bryant. Let's see. James Harden, 35 points. Howard, 15 points, 14 rebounds. But this is where
This is where they killed him.
5 for 16 from the free throw line. That's something he needs to work on. The easiest shot in the game, as many as, besides for the layups, these are free points.
Yeah, you got to make those.
Jody Meeks had 18 points, and Blake had 14 with the game winner, which is a three-pointer over Dwight Howard's face, my ad. So, moving on from that, we're going to go to
Friday.
There we go.
Your birthday, by the way. A little bit of belated happy birthday, even though I said it to you on your birthday.
Thank you, everybody. Don't know what to say. Toronto and Indiana. A game I had questions going into because Indiana has had issues with Toronto in the past.
Yes, they did. I was at that game, actually. Pacers won.
So
they did struggle the first half. Sorry to cut you off.
Like always. No. Trust me. We're talking about the Pacers.
Rudy Gay went off in that first half, though. He did not miss anything, really, it seemed like.
Rudy Gay is one of those guys where if he catches fire, he's going to have fire for the rest of the way.
He was making those fadeaways, those spin moves. It was just tough.
Paul George kind of flirted with a triple-double. Flirted more of a double-double. 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. At this point, he had 6 games in a row with 23 points. With 20 points, I mean. Did that tie him for the most 20-point games at the start of the season? Did that because Clark Kellogg had the record. Did Clark have 7 or did he only have 6?
I think Clark had 7.
Okay, so later on he tied it to 9. So Hibbert had 20.7 rebounds. Rudy Gay had a 30-point game, like you said. Amir Johnson, 12 points, 10 rebounds. DeRozan, only 6 points, 2 of 15 shooting. We mentioned this on our last show. DeRozan's one of those guys that, he got a big contract. The big question is, will he translate well? Will he become an NBA superstar like he says he will? And many thinks he will. This could only be one. He had a Lance Stevenson type of night.
One of the people that are here tonight, Bailey Hall, thinks he's going to be one of the top shooting guards in the league. While we're here saying he needs to improve a lot. He did come in their leading scorer that night.
Yeah.
But that 2 for 15 field goal does not help his confidence.
Well, no, the issue is he just has to work on his jump shot. He's kind of like a John Wall type of guy. John Wall has a very good close-range game. John Wall has been working on his long distance. I think that's just the issue with him. Mm-hmm. Moving on from that, the Knicks playing Charlotte again, may we add. The Knicks win, though, 101-91. Melo with a 28-point game. Andre Bargnani, 25 points. Something you don't see very often, especially when we just mentioned his former team, Toronto. Let's see, then you have Walker with 25 and Gerald Henderson on it the first time we mentioned him. 18 points, 9 rebounds. Close to a double-double, but not there. Next we had Boston and Orlando, two teams that many thought would be at the bottom. Boston ended up winning this game, though, 91-89. Anything you want to say about that? You're just kind of like giving this.
Congratulations to Brad Stevens on his first win, I believe.
Yep, that first win. Big Butler fans, both of us, so good for him. Always glad to see Indiana natives or people who play for an Indiana team do good outside of college. Brandon Bass had a 16-point game, and Avery Bradley had 14 points, 8 rebounds. Aaron Aflalo had 23 points, and Vucevic had 14 points, 13 rebounds, again showing that he is the double-double machine.
You know what? Actually, I got to take that back. I believe they did beat Utah earlier in the week, so congratulations on your second win, Brad Stevens.
My bad. We just talked about that. I don't know why I didn't catch you on that.
You know, that's what happens, I guess.
And I just realized Philadelphia and Cleveland played a back-to-back against each other. I forgot they played yesterday. Philadelphia won this game 94-79, but I'm just going to mention this really quickly because we don't have any stats because it just ended. Philadelphia lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers in double overtime due to a Kyrie Irving last second. It didn't end the game, but it was a last second. It was close to a last second.
A game-winning driving layup.
Yep, by Kyrie Irving, Mr. Clutch himself.
Uncle Drew.
Uncle Drew. Oh man, we forgot about Kevin Love and Nate Robinson. Haven't heard. Too bad we don't see Nate Robinson's name in this. But anyways, Deion Waiters had 18 points. Tristan Thompson had 13 points, 16 rebounds, a double-double for him. Kyrie Irving had a poor game shooting, only 4 of 17. Evan Turner had 22 points, 10 rebounds. Tony Wharton, I don't know how to say that. Tony Wroten, 18 points off the bench. And then Thaddeus Young, 16 points, 8 rebounds.
If you can get a solid contributor off the bench like that, you're going to win the game.
Yes. Next, we had Phoenix at Denver. I don't know if it was at Denver, but Phoenix against Denver. 114-103, Phoenix over Denver. Let's see, Markieff Morris had 28 points, 10 rebounds off the bench.
Been playing solid while Dragic's out.
Miles Plumlee.
Pacer. Former Pacer.
Gosh.
He's so goofy.
18 points, 11 rebounds. No Dragic again, as I'm going to mention. He might play tomorrow. Ty Lawson had 29 points.
Jordan Hamilton.
Oh, thank you. I was trying to think which Hamilton it was. Jordan Hamilton had 19 points, 9 rebounds. This next game went into overtime. Brooklyn against Washington. Washington ended up winning. Brooklyn hasn't been doing too well this year.
No, they have not, and they really should be doing a lot better.
Washington. All right, so for Washington, Bradley Beal had his first, what I consider a really good game because he wasn't shooting very well. He was having points, but he was taking a lot of shots.
I do believe he went. Don't quote me on this, but I believe he went about 9 for 12 that game.
Yes, he went 9 for 12, very close, I believe. He might be on the dot. 29 points for him. John Wall had a double-double, 17 points, 14 assists. Marcin Gortat, 15 points, 12 rebounds, and the only good thing that I get from Brooklyn is that Lopez had 23 points.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have OKC against Detroit. I'm looking at 119-110.
Yep.
All right, making sure. Durant had a monster night, 37 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. With nights like that, it's hard to expect a loss, but again, sometimes big nights like that happen. But
that did happen against the Pacers a couple years ago. He had about a 46-point performance.
Yeah,
and still ended up beating.
I remember that game. I watched it on TV. That's how I know what I'm talking about. That was during the lockout year. See, Josh Smith had a 25-point game. Brandon Jennings, 22 points, 11 assists. And Greg Monroe had 20 points, 50 rebounds, and 10 offensive rebounds. Making sure I couldn't read that.
That was a little small handwriting.
A little small. Oh, we got some more games.
This was a lot of games.
Like I said, Wednesday and Fridays are the 2 big nights in the NBA. Chicago wins 97-73 over Utah.
Keeping them winless.
Luol Deng had 19 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, 5 steals. Carlos Boozer, 18 points, 10 rebounds. Gordon Hayward, not as many points as he's been averaging, but 15 points. Derek Favors had 10 points, 9 rebounds. Obviously, the Chicago defense stopped Utah tonight. And I believe that's why, because no one really had a very big night for the Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota, the Minnesota T-Wolves, may I add. K-squared wins 90. Okay, my bad. They win 116-108, and guess what? Kevin Love, K-squared make an appearance here. Kevin Love flirted with the triple-double. Did have a double-double, 32 points, 15 rebounds, 8 assists. Kevin Martin ties him in points with 32. And then for Dallas, Ellis had a 23-point game. Jose Calderon, 21.7 assists. And may I add, we did not hear Dirk Nowitzki's name at all in this.
That's right. He's not been playing to what we expect him to be since he is a former All-Star and a former NBA Finals MVP.
And also a former season MVP. Mm-hmm. Hall of Famer for sure. Next, we had the Pelicans against the Lakers. Pelicans end up winning. Second win for them? Or is this the third?
I think it's their third.
Okay. So the Pelicans have 3 wins. Who would have thought the Pelicans would have ever be an NBA name for a team? But it is. We have 2 double-doubles for the Pelicans. Anthony Davis had 32 points, 12 rebounds. Drew Holiday, 13 points, 13 assists. Chris Kaman had 16 points, and Steve Flake had 13 points, 8 assists.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on from that, looks like they'll up 2 more games. May I say before I make a mistake like I did earlier? San Antonio, a low scoring game.
Defensive battle.
You don't. And Golden State isn't really known for their defense, but 76-74. San Antonio over Golden State. This is a weird game, it looks like. Tony Parker, 18 points. Kawhi Leonard, only 13. David Lee had 13 points, 10 rebounds. And look at this, Tony Davis had a 21-point game.
Tony Douglas.
Did I say, what did I say?
You said Davis.
Tony Davis,
Sorry.
my bad. Tony Douglas, I was looking at it. That's my fault. So pretty much, this is one of those games that Stephen Curry didn't really do much. Apparently,
Stephen Curry did not play that night. He had a sprained ankle.
Okay.
Iguodala,
ankle issues.
Iguodala missed a game-tying shot as time expired, and it was within the paint too. I'd say within 5 feet.
Oh man!
And he just rolled all the way around the rim and then off.
Oh man! And moving on from this, finally the last game. Portland beat Sacramento 104-91. I'm gonna go in and get Sacramento out of the way. DeMarcus Cousins had a big night, 35 points, 9 rebounds. You know,
great night.
He's playing. Those are numbers that people thought he'd be playing, but his bad attitude has held him back. Hopefully, he will, cast some light maybe and turn this team around and maybe do better.
Yeah, they definitely need it.
Let's see. Moving on from this, Damian Lillard had 22 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, flirting with a triple-double. LaMarcus Aldridge, 20 points, 7 rebounds. Wesley Matthews, 18 points, 7 rebounds, a good night for him. And also, Nicholas Batum also flirted with a triple-double. He already has 1 this year. 14 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds.
And actually, that really showed that when Portland, those 4 guys, when they just play solid all around, they can get the win. They rely on those 4 guys.
Yes.
And now we're going to do an updated NBA standings real fast. This is as of 11:30 tonight, so the 9th, actually, because some of the games are already finished, some of them are in progress. As of right now, the Atlantic Division in the Eastern Conference looks like this, with Philadelphia at the top of the standings. Never thought I'd say that, with New York.
Oh, gosh.
Philadelphia's at 4-3. Below them are the New York Knicks at 2-3. Below them at a tie are Toronto at 3-4 and Boston 3-4, and then in the last place is actually Brooklyn Nets at 2-4.
A team you didn't think would be under 500.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Maybe it's just Jason Kidd. It's his fault.
Yeah,
he got drunk.
it's
It's his fault.
Yeah. In the Central Division, the Indiana Pacers are a step above everyone else right now. At 7-0, they are at the top of their division, and actually, in second place is the Milwaukee Bucks at 2-2, and they actually play them this upcoming Friday now. Yeah. So that'll be hopefully a fun game to watch.
It's going to be a game to look out for. As of right now, they're the top 2 teams in the division. So yeah, we're not going to say that for Milwaukee for this much longer, but it's something to note.
Next behind them are the Cleveland Cavaliers at 3-4. Detroit and Chicago are both at 2-3 towards the bottom of their division. In the Southeast Division, we have the Miami Heat at the top at 4-2. Right behind them are the Charlotte Bobcats.
Woohoo!
At 3-3, also the Atlanta Hawks at 3-3. Orlando is at 3-4, followed by Washington at 2-3.
Yay!
So over in the West now, we go to the Northwest. Oklahoma City Thunder are at 4-1. Behind them are the Minnesota Timberwolves at 4-2. So really, that's a very heated division right there.
This is going to be one of the tougher divisions, mainly because they have 4 playoff contenders in my opinion. Besides for Utah. Utah's not a playoff contender.
And behind them are the Portland Trailblazers, but they have a game in progress right now. Last I checked, they were beating the Sacramento Kings on a back-to-back night. They stand at 3-2 as of this moment. Denver is in 4th at 1-4, and dead last is the Utah Jazz, winless at 0-6. The Pacific Division there is the Golden State Warriors. The Phoenix Suns are in 1st over the Golden State Warriors at 4-2, and the Warriors are at 4-3 as they just lost tonight. The LA Clippers are also at 4-3. LA Lakers at 3-4, and then Sacramento is at 1-4, but their game is in progress right now.
Again, a very heated, close division so far.
And finally, in the Southwest Division, the San Antonio Spurs stand at 5-1. The Houston Rockets are at 4-3 as they lost tonight. The New Orleans Pelicans and the Dallas Mavericks and the Memphis Grizzlies all stand at 3-3 behind them. So that's a very heated battle in the NBA right now. Could go anyone's way.
Yes, and I think that's a very good time to end this and move on from NBA to NFL as we bring in the whole twins, Bailey and Brandon, to do some talk about the NBA action.